Everybody, my name is Cameron Dennis. I'm the president and founder of the Blockchain Acceleration Foundation. I also am on the developer relations team at Near Protocol. And today I will be telling you more about the blockchain ecosystem and also briefly explaining what a blockchain is, as well as how you can get involved today. Before getting started, I will hopefully switch my next slide. Yep, here's the agenda. I originally got started in the space back in 2016 or so when I learned about Ethereum and how we can program money and sort of all of the societal and I guess like impersonal changes that can make in this world, specifically around asset ownership and kind of understanding how everything really flows in the traditional economy and how it's going to be digitized. So this sort of got me to start the blockchain club at UC Santa Barbara. Then after graduating, I went to go work for a small VC firm doing analyst work in the space and started this nonprofit, the Blockchain Acceleration Foundation, mainly to address the issues around the lack of accredited education in the space. And since then, we started the first blockchain courses, accredited blockchain courses at UCLA, at UC Santa Barbara, and at UC Davis. Now I work at Near Protocol, which is a layer one blockchain, which we'll get into later. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And I'm going to quickly explain what a blockchain is without any graphics, because it's actually quite straightforward. And I want you to think of a spreadsheet, because all a blockchain is a spreadsheet or a database. And anytime that something happens on this database, i.e. a transaction, it gets timestamped and recorded. So let's take financial transactions as an example. This is what Bitcoin is. Bitcoin is just a spreadsheet, essentially, that is shared across all of the participants in the network. And anytime that something happens on it, i.e. a transaction, which means me sending you money or vice versa, it gets timestamped and recorded across the entire thing. So instead of a centralized spreadsheet, kind of like an Excel sheet, think of it more like a Google spreadsheet, which is, anytime something changes, it gets shared across the entire thing. But the key factor which makes it different than a Google spreadsheet is that no one can change it. So if I send you money, what the system does is it checks to see if let's say I send you $5 of Bitcoin. It's going to check my account to see if I have $5 of Bitcoin. It's going to check to see if your account is a valid account and that you can receive this $5. Then I'll take my $5 of Bitcoin, send it to you, and then record that transaction on this distributed ledger. Now, this, believe it or not, is a really hard problem to do in a completely permissionless way, because people have been trying to send money over the internet for a very long time and kind of create this like digital currency. Think about why we're able to send an email across the world in seconds, but not send a wire transfer. And the reason for this is there is a lot of intermediaries in between. So if I were to send you money, Victoria, it would be me telling my bank to tell the, the SWIFT network, which is like an agreed upon, I guess, standard across most banks, like how we transfer money, to then transfer money to your bank and then your bank to you. Every little person in between is charging a fee. If I were to send you that money directly, like cash, no fee change. So, or no like transaction cost. So this is like a huge benefit of these peer-to-peer systems. Person to person is another way to see it. And then what got me most interested in this space is expanding this idea beyond transactions, beyond financial transactions. How can we have all of our digital assets or even real assets, is if they're able to be almost translated to the virtual space, be completely owned by the individual. And I haven't really gotten to how it's owned by the individual, but in short, you have a password and a username, just like normal. But instead of having this password and username sit on a private database, let's say Facebook, it can sit on the blockchain. And this is known as it's like public-private key cryptography. So I have a private key that matches to my public key.
Right.
And every time a transaction happens, my public key, not my name, key difference here, my public key is added to that is added to that transaction. So it says 63PP, whatever, like 3Z, my public key, sent you, your random string, X amount of money. And now I have my private key to prove that that transaction was mine because I have my private key to match my public key. And this is a way for you to verify the ownership of your own money. But I was interested in okay, what if it wasn't just money? What if I can do this for like all my Facebook photos or all my photos on the internet? What if I can like digitize my car title, put it on? What if like every single, water bottle and piece of, technology or anything had a public key associated to it? And every time it moved across the network, it got timestamped and recorded. Now, and this is a public network. So anyone can refer to this thing and vet it makes everything more transparent, which then leads to accountability. And that's really cool because right now in this world, there's tons of corruption, tons of, mismanagement, and there's a lack of transparency that, I'm very confident will lead to a better society. So now that we have the system where I can verify these assets on this spreadsheet or blockchain with my private key, I can now own my own data or own my own money or own my own everything. And this is a lot of different fields of study that are coming in here. We have computer science, we have economics, we have the, political science, we have even in terms of application, you're going to need medical experts to figure out how to do, not medical, but like data management experts in the medical industry to figure out how we can own our own medical information, or supply chain logistics people to understand how we can set internet IoT devices onto, certain parts of the, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? Logistics pipeline or train to verify when an asset moves from one person to another. So we're going to have all of these different people involved. And the way I like to see blockchains or Web3 generally is this is the new railroad tracks of the information and digital age, information and money, financial age. So I think that's really cool. And things like Near, things like Ethereum are all these layer ones. And these are the railroad. Bitcoin, financial transactions. But it's not really good for financial transactions because of the high volatility, which there's why there's things called stable coins. We'll get into it later. But do you have any questions for me?
Not yet.
Okay, great. So that's a bit about me. I'm most interested in decentralized governance, specifically verifiable privacy, identity systems, and decentralized finance. We'll get into this why later. But first, what is Near Protocol? Near Protocol is another layer one blockchain, very similar to Ethereum, where you can start building these things called smart contracts. And what smart contracts are programs that essentially are a group of if and then statements that self-execute when there is certain inputs that come in. So an example for this is like, I'm going to send you $5 if it on Thursday afternoon at 3:30 p.m. if it is 73 degrees out. And so what the smart contract will do is it will check at 3:30 p.m. to like the closest, oracle, which is an oracle is like let's say the thermometer here. That would be like, and let's say there's a direct input into the smart contract or into the program, like, that the smart contract can call to see what temperature it is. It will see, is it 73 degrees? Yes. Great. Cameron will send Victoria $5 and it self-executes. And when you have this contract just out there in the public eye, it can be vetted. So you actually can see the mechanics of how it works. And this increases more accountability and transparency within the financial system, because now we're having these programs that can be completely audited by the general public, be the things that are moving the value, and it's completely automated. So these are smart contracts, and they can be arbitrarily complex. We can get into like some more complex examples later, but the weather example is, I think, a very easy one, because it's just like, it's a yes or no. It's very binary. Is it 73 degrees at 3:30 p.m. on Thursday? No. okay, Cameron does not pay Victoria. So that is then you have to write these contracts. This is like in the world, now we're entering into like programming. And right now, the most popular smart contracting platform is Ethereum. Why? Huge network effect, incredibly decentralized, really cool culture and group of people behind it. I got started in the Ethereum ecosystem, absolutely love what they're doing. The issue is in like what I'm doing too. Like I consider myself like an ETH head in a way. But the issues are around costs and scalability, because right now there's so much demand on Ethereum where costs are so high, and it's not that easy. You can't really transact on it. So if I were to, want to send you $5 of Ethereum right now, or $100, I would have to pay very, very high costs, sometimes upwards of $200. Now I'm paying more in fees than I'm actually spending in giving you. And that makes me very sad, because the whole point of why I got involved in this ecosystem was to, one, try to revolutionize the asset ownership, but two, is because these tools can be used to increase financial inclusion for people by giving them ways to essentially leave the existing financial system that has only hurt people in the past. I mean, it's done a lot of good, but it also disenfranchises for the sake of profits, and I don't think should be managed by a given company. It should be a public good and should be managed by the people. Like money should be managed by the people, not by big banks and governments. So that's what blockchains could enable. And since Ethereum's gas fees are so high right now, big push towards different distributed ledger technology, different blockchains. And Near is one of those many blockchains. But Near specializes in good developer experience. So you're able to program these smart contracts, these self-executing programs with assembly script, and which is like very similar to TypeScript, which most web developers use today. So what Near is doing is providing people this ability to write these contracts with skills that they already know, web developers specifically. And it's way faster. So it's way faster in Ethereum, much, much, much cheaper and easy to build on. And it also interoperates with Ethereum. So all assets on Ethereum can move over and vice versa, because now you have these like different ecosystems. And what I like to consider, like when I describe blockchains to like non-technical people or, new people, I'd say it's like an app store. There's many different app stores. You have like the Google App Store, you have the iOS App Store, and it's like an app store plus like all of the very crucial like storage, compute, like it's the app stores plus Amazon Web Services, and open to the public, and it's a public good. And this is why it's so important for people to build applications on top of them, because the app store is only as valuable as the applications on it. So like if Netflix left iOS or the Apple App Store tomorrow, there would be less demand for iPhones. Or maybe not exactly, but you see what the point I'm getting at. If all of the apps left the App Store on iPhones, Apple would be not very happy about that.
Yeah.
So very similar to blockchains. The more applications on top of the chain, the more, things that people can use. And here's just some, why I like Near. I've worked with a lot of different layer 1 blockchains with my nonprofit, and I see Near as like the best one for end users, specifically because of the easy developer experience and some other account structure thing that I'm not going to get into. We also have really amazing learning modules and education around like, workshops and certified developer programs for anyone to participate in. So if you're interested, feel free to email me at cameron@near.org with any questions or concerns. So moving on, the Blockchain Acceleration Foundation, as I explained earlier, is a nonprofit. It's governed by the different blockchain club leaders around the world. Not all of them, but the ones that are part of the organization. And these are the leaders at UC Berkeley, UCLA, Carnegie Mellon, University of Michigan, UC Santa Barbara, RIT. You could read the list. And the whole goal here is to create a tax-exempt and automated nonprofit, because with these smart contracts, you can do some really cool things that help streamline a lot of the back-end processes of organizations. So we want to test a lot of this new tech and apply it to a nonprofit to see how we can automate it. Sounds kind of crazy, but this is the end goal, and we're creating an opportunity machine. And what this means is we place people at jobs. We've placed people at like some of the best companies in the space. We organize technical focus groups. So if you're an engineer and want to give feedback on documentation or user onboarding, get paid upwards of $100 an hour to do this. We organize weekly events. We start these accredited courses. We do a bunch of stuff, and it's all governed by like the members, the students at these schools that we work with. So yep, that's a short what we do. We do some research as well, and organize hackathons, and our Discord is where we meet. So if you're interested in some of our previous events, we host them every week. So those who are interested in learning more about blockchains, again, hit me up or just go to www.baf.network, BAF.network, or blockchainacceleration.org, and or contact me at Cameron@Near or Cameron@baf.network. But yeah, more about the courses. We started some projects. We're building some cool stuff. One of them is a new decentralized learning management system for a university in Australia.
Okay.
And the reason why this is needed is because in the beginning of COVID, this university in Australia, University of Adelaide, uses Google Classroom for their like, all their ads, like everything. So during COVID, most of their students are Chinese, and when they went back to China, they couldn't get access to any of their stuff without a VPN. And that's a problem. So we were doing research with the Algorand Foundation around the viability of universities adopting stablecoins, and it turned into morphed into this very important need of a decentralized learning management system, where anyone in the world can sign up. It's all hosted on this distributed public app store, where anyone can get access to no matter where you are, as long as you have an internet connection. And that is really cool for people who want things that work. And so we are creating our own wallet. We're creating our own decentralized autonomous organization, and we're also working with the city of Miami on this project that is in development. So I can't talk too much about it, but it's pretty cool.
No, it sounds awesome.
Yeah, again, some companies that we've placed our members at, let me know if you're looking for a job in the space. But first, you definitely need to know about it, because what's really cool about this industry is that it rewards early adopters very, very well. The early people who mine Bitcoin, the early people who started staking, or the early people who just started teaching about this, it pays very well. So if you learn about it, BAF is working on creating these pipelines or pathways almost for people. For example, a lot of political science students are oh, I'm going to go to law school after. Or if you do finance, you want to go to investment banking. There is no pathway for the blockchain space right now. All I can recommend, and I'll actually get into this later, is engage on social media and make yourself known. Or if you're not a very social person, reach out to me. We have very tangible opportunities for people to work on. And it's just it's about what you build. It's not about the certificate you have or anything like that. It's straight up have you done stuff? And if you haven't done stuff, then the likelihood of you getting a job is lower. But if you have, great. And then we help you do stuff. So that's the point of BAF. I'm gonna stop there. Any questions up to now?
No, I think that's great.
Cool. I'll make this relatively quick because I think how are we doing on time?
I have something at 6 that I can probably push back by 10 minutes, but that's it.
Okay. Yeah, cool. We'll make this quick. So different blockchain verticals. There's decentralized finance, non-fungible tokens. Everyone's been sort of raving about this.
The NFT.
NFTs. Yeah, NFTs. NFTs are amazing and they're really cool. I personally don't think that they're going to be one of the biggest things that come out of this industry. Everything is what's happening now is it's all sort of uniting. So I'll start with decentralized finance. So with this new sort of medium of transacting value online without a third party and you owning your own stuff, and smart contracts specifically are enabling people to create these very, very cool new lending protocols and cool new asset like financial products that were more I guess popular in traditional finance, but now making it and happen in the decentralized finance space. And there's a lot of money being made and a lot of innovation happening. So the next one is NFTs, non-fungible tokens. This is a way for you to verify which like the digital assets that you own. The way I like to see it is like liquid intellectual property. What it does, it introduces this idea of scarcity to digital assets. Yeah. This is incredibly important for things like, like intellectual property, or think if you play Fortnite at all, people spend so much time and so much money, not just Fortnite, any video game, working towards a specific weapon, a specific skin, a specific like characteristic of their character. And it's gonna be really cool if you can verifiably prove that this is one of X, one of 5, one of 3, whatever versions of this weapon, one of 3 versions of this art, versions of this, what's happening now is like the crypto art stuff, which is cool. But for me, it's like, it's gonna be very impactful. Art is just one tiny little application of it. I'm most interested in NFTs for like all assets and all intellectual property on the internet. And I'm not sure if it will be in the form of non-fungible token. And what this is really just a standard. A standard of how you can create these new tokens that represent one of X of something on the blockchain.
That's right.
And so, yeah, it's happening first with art, but I see it progressing to much, much more and having more utility behind them. So for example, if you're the owner of X NFT, you can get into X social organization or, VIP of this place or join X community. There are some challenges around NFTs that centralize everything, which is why the next thing is decentralized autonomous organizations. It's a hell of a mouthful, also known as DAOs. They are a way for you to essentially replace an organization's bylaws with code. So instead of relying on humans to execute certain bureaucratic processes, it automatically can happen once certain parameters are met via smart contracts. And this is what we're trying to create at BAF, the Blockchain Acceleration Foundation, is we're trying to digitize all of our backend processes with smart contracts. And this is very important for voting. And this will lead to a lot of innovations happening in NFT space. But this is a really cool, really cool thing. This is like one of the cooler applications of the blockchain space that I think is very new, not very new, but like not 100% well known yet. So if you're interested in learning more about like the cutting edge of blockchain, NFTs are here. They're here to stay. But the cooler things to me are like DAOs, personal tokens, zero knowledge proofs, and then stable coins. We can briefly run through all this stuff. Personal tokens, if you want to issue a token, there's a lot of regulatory concerns about this, so I'm not going to dive too much into it. Privacy preserving technology, how can you verifiably, prove that you are the only ones to see certain assets, or like it's really in a world where everything is digitized, privacy is going to be very important. So having these mechanisms to verify that privacy is key. Zero knowledge proofs, I believe, will be one of the most important things to come out of this industry. This is heavily in the world of cryptography. And if there's like a cryptography department at your university, like they probably know about this. And what's really cool about the blockchain space is that it's a lot of academic research from a bunch of different fields of study that are sort of all congregating, and it is actually being applied. Like zero knowledge proofs were first thought of by Sylvia McCallie back in like the 80s, but it was never really ready to come to market. This was just theory. Now they're interested in learning more about the applications, which is why we start the courses, see how it's being applied. So people have been doing research for decades are finally like, whoa, like the stuff I'm working on that was theoretical at one point is now in the real world. And that's really cool. And that's zero knowledge proofs in a nutshell. Indexer is important. How do you do like data analysis on a blockchain when everything is like very important, public? You can start learning a lot about how money flows and how people interact with indexers. Stable coins. This is a very important one as well. You may have noticed that China is digitizing their currency. The United States is thinking about like creating a digital dollar. And you might ask yourself like, hey, how is this different than Venmo or, you know, other stuff? Well, this is actually minted and governed by the government, not necessarily like Venmo. So what a digital currency ultimately does is it takes friction out of the process. So instead of like, again, having to contact, if I'm trying to send you $5, instead of me sending it to my bank, from my bank to, you know, your bank, from your bank to you, it could be like me to you, a digital cash backed by the government. And took form in the decentralized space with something called DAI, Tether, USDC, and there's others. But next one is decentralized storage. So Amazon Web Services, how, you know, everything is stored on the internet, is currently very centralized, and with centralization comes many risks. There was a huge hack, Facebook hack the other day, 500 and I think 30 million people.
But I think it was old data.
It was old data, but nevertheless, anytime that there is a company that has all of that information, they're at risk. No one's safe. Nobody's safe from hacks. You can be Facebook, you can be the government, you can be anybody. You know, genetic sequencing companies like 23andMe, you know, that is like our personal information out on the internet. Like the only thing that actually makes you is sitting on a centralized server somewhere that is at risk of being hacked, and is frequently attacked, by the way. So how can we mitigate this risk? Well, decentralized storage is an option. And it started with the Interplanetary File Storage Network, lots of jargon and stuff, but the whole point is how can you get paid for storing little bits of files of your peers or of the people in the network without being able to identify the information within the files? And you get paid for it. So I think that's really cool. And it's, you know, growing very quickly. More people are adopting this as the sort of like base layer of this new internet. So decentralized storage. Oracles is a big one. How do you relay information from the physical world to the digital world, or the digital world to other applications within the digital world? So that thermometer example is a great thing here. Like the thermometer would be the Oracle. That's like all of these things, by the way, are like, we can teach 10-week courses on every single one of them. So there's a lot of information here. So next one is sidechains and layer twos. Layer twos are layers that sit on top of layer ones, i.e. Ethereum, to make Ethereum faster. Layer twos are faster and cheaper. Sidechains are a very similar thing. Like a lot of the transactions will actually go to, you know, let's say XDAI or Loopring, and then the transaction will then be pointed to the layer one, i.e. Ethereum, and it increases the speed and decreases costs of the blockchain. And if you're looking to get involved in the industry, highly recommend participating in hackathons if you're a developer. If you're not a developer, and if you're a developer, definitely engage on social media. The crypto is super flat. You can reach out to almost any CEO company just on Discord or Twitter or Telegram. And it's just about like what you table and or like what you're interested in. So BAF is a great place, the Blockchain Acceleration Foundation, to help you sort of build this kind of portfolio of projects you've worked on to enter the space. And if you're interested in getting involved, highly recommend joining Twitter. Crypto is a real thing. That's where all the information moves at the fastest speeds. Telegram is like the messaging app. It's cross borders and supposed to be, I think, encrypted. A lot of information on Reddit. Yeah. Discord is where all these communities live. And this is where I think like the nexus of decision making and you know, all communication and voice channels and messaging is happening. The next one is Clubhouse. This random icon here. I think they changed the logo since, but to like another person. And Clubhouse is a great way for you to, you know, start learning because there's a lot of like general conversations happening for beginners. Other types of jobs in the space. The main things that they're looking for is that you understand the fundamentals, engage with people on Twitter and Discord, you build a network, you make friends. For crypto, for the tech, and I stayed for the people, because the people in this industry are all sort of like rally around us of the importance of decentralization and more transparency in our institutions and accountability. So I absolutely love the people here with BAF. Like, we really only are interested in like people who are down for the cause, that cause being a user-owned internet. Yeah, lots of great new ways of like, figuring out employment. So some important jobs are like obviously engineering, but if you're not an engineer, does not matter. I'm not an engineer and I work in the space. It's okay. We need designers, we need project managers, we need, business development people, community managers, on and on, if you're interested. Really cool ways for, funding these crazy projects. ICOs was a big one, but there's a lot of grants, a lot of bounties, VC money, and more out there. I manage Near's VC referral network. So if you're an entrepreneur that has a cool blockchain idea and have built something that has users, let me know. Happy to connect you to money. Education material, awesome stuff. Out of this if you're at home, and stay in touch. You can check out network on just URL. That's me on Twitter. Here's some some QR codes if you just want to scan them and start learning. So I think I'm up on time, but that was it. Hope you enjoyed it and learned a lot.